Tell everybody, especially females, if you don't have to come out at night, don't come out at night. This is not the same world. This is not society that we had 10 years ago. You know, it's very dangerous. You have to watch out for what you're doing because we have some bad people in the world today.
I always told Aniah her whole life, y'all, just don't ever go anywhere alone. Don't go anywhere, by yourself, not even to get gas, not to do this, not to do that. And Aniah knew that. Sometimes you can't, there's evil out there. And I want y'all to know I love y'all, everybody here, and Aniah loves everybody here, and I do not want to see this happen. Aniah was only going to the store to buy a bag of potato chips. And if you know Aniah, you know how much she loved to eat. And that's all she was doing. And she ran into some evil.
All right, girls' weekend. Woo! We're at Maggiano's.
Delicious.
If you haven't been, you need to go.
This is the story of Aniah Blanchard, a 19-year-old who was well known for always putting others before herself, but she also had a tremendous fear of being kidnapped and harmed. Aniah disappeared on October 23, 2019, after dropping her brother off at Auburn University, where he attended college. She texted her roommate to let her know she was just minutes away from getting home. Friends and family would wait 2 excruciating days before Aniah's heavily damaged vehicle would be discovered 55 miles away, containing evidence suggesting that Aniah's worst nightmare had probably tragically come true. Aniah had been kidnapped. Aniah's abduction captivated the country, and it would be over a month before her friends and loved ones would learn the awful truth about what happened to her. Welcome to Viral Crimes. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. This story takes us to Auburn, Alabama. Aniah was born on June 22, 2000. Aniah was raised in the nearby Alabama city of Homewood. Her laugh was contagious.
Hey! Oh my goodness! I'm giving her away. Oh my God!
Her energy was unstoppable. She adored people and would embrace everyone she met. She was always smiling and having a good time with those around her. She was one of those individuals that just wanted to ensure that you were okay, and if you were not, she would do what she could to help you out. Aniah had a brother named Elijah. The two were inseparable. Their parents are Angela and Elijah Blanchard Sr. Their mother is a pediatric nurse who worked the night shift in the emergency department. Their father is a local businessman and pastor. Aniah's parents divorced in 2004, but he remained a close figure in her life. Elijah's mother, Angela, soon began dating Walt Harris, an Ultimate Fighting Championship fighter. He came into Aniah's life when she was 3 years old. Walt, her stepfather, said that she was his biggest supporter and that she always gave him motivation to continue fighting and encouraged him to do better. Aniah and her older brother Elijah were just 17 months apart and were always together. Aniah even decided to attend college close to where her brother was. In 2017, her brother Elijah enrolled at Auburn University. A year later, Aniah started attending the neighboring Southern Union State Community College, where she studied early childhood education. She was planning on transferring to Auburn University with her brother. She even moved into an apartment that was only about 10 minutes from where her brother lived. The two would talk every morning. October 23, 2019, would be the start of a series of events that would change Aniah and her family's lives forever. Aniah, Elijah, and their mother Angela attended a family friend's funeral in northern Alabama on October 23, 2019. Aniah and her brother Elijah had to depart right after the funeral. The two had to travel 185 miles, about a 4-hour drive, the next morning to Auburn because they both had to work. They hugged and kissed their mother goodbye and got on the road, but Aniah and Elijah wanted to see their stepfather before they headed off to school. He was not at the service, but instead at home preparing for his next UFC match. They visited with their stepdad briefly, gave him a long hug, then got back on the road to Auburn, which was still 2 hours away. They successfully completed the journey and arrived home in Auburn at around 11 p.m. Aniah dropped Elijah off at his apartment, then headed home to her residence, which was 3 miles away, just about a 10-minute drive. At 11:09, Aniah's roommate Sarah texted her, "Are you close to being home?" She immediately texted back, "Yeah." Aniah would always inform her roommate of her whereabouts and her expected return time. They both had iPhones and would always share their location with one another. Sarah claims that this is the result of a deep-rooted fear that Aniah had. Aniah has always shared with her roommate that being abducted or murdered is her greatest fear. Ever since they first met, this was always Aniah's fear. According to Sarah, Aniah would inspect each area of the apartment as soon as she entered, and would tell her over and over that she had nightmares about it happening to her. Aniah was never truly known to travel alone at night, yet that evening, she was by herself driving at night for just 3 more miles to get home, after dropping off her brother. Yet Aniah still hadn't arrived home after over 30 minutes. Her roommate texted her, "Did you go out without me?" Aniah replied, "I'm smoking a blunt lol." This was confusing to the roommate because she never heard Aniah use the word blunt before. She then asked Aniah who she was smoking with. She replied, "Eric." She asked her who that was, and Aniah replied, "I just met him." She asked her where and she didn't get a response. At 11:43 p.m. Sarah hadn't received any further responses from Aniah. Sarah checked Aniah's location, and she looked to be visiting a neighboring student apartment that has a heavy student presence. Sarah assumed Aniah was out with friends, and she went to bed. The next morning, Sarah wanted to know more about Eric, the mysterious guy Aniah had met the previous evening. She entered Aniah's bedroom right away and discovered that Aniah never returned home. Sarah quickly checked her phone to see if she could track Aniah's location, but there was nothing. Aniah's phone was no longer on. Sarah then called the lady that Aniah babysat for, and she said that Aniah never showed up, so Sarah then got inside her car and drove around searching for Aniah's vehicle. She contacted her brother to inform him that Aniah didn't return home last night. At this point, Aniah had simply vanished, and nobody had heard from her, not her brother, employer, or roommate. Her brother knew that Aniah would not just disappear, so he contacted their parents immediately. Aniah's parents couldn't believe what they were hearing, so they hopped in the car and took the painful 2-hour drive to search for their daughter. After 24 hours and no sign of Aniah anywhere, the family made the decision to contact police. The disappearance of Aniah was breaking news and made headlines all across the nation. Her parents went on television and pleaded for their daughter's safe return.
Walt Harris, Angela Harris here. If you have any leads on where our daughter is, Aniah Blanchard, please go to the authorities. Tell someone she was last seen in a black Honda CRV 2017. Tag is 49 B2356. BS 356. I'm sorry. She was possibly last seen downtown at downtown Auburn, Southeastern, and Sky Bar. If you have any information, please come forward.
On October 25, 2019, with Aniah gone for 2 days, her Honda was spotted in an apartment complex in Montgomery, Alabama, 55 miles from Auburn. And it has significant damage. Even worse, Aniah was nowhere to be found. A few days after she vanished, authorities found out that Aniah had stopped at a gas station 2 minutes from her house after dropping off her brother. Aniah purchased a beverage and a bag of potato chips. Police released surveillance images of Aniah Blanchard from October 23, 2019. Eventually, after 14 days, on November 6, 2019, police released security footage photos of a person of interest who had been at the gas station at the same time that Aniah Blanchard had been there. Aniah was allegedly forced into her vehicle by the subject, according to an eyewitness, before they both drove off. The next day, Ibrahim Yazid, a 30-year-old from Montgomery, Alabama, was confirmed as the guy in the photos. He had a long history of arrests and had been in and out of jail multiple times. He was no stranger to the criminal justice system. According to the police, Yazid was accused of kidnapping, robbing, and almost beating a 77-year-old man to death earlier that year. He was charged with robbing and assaulting another individual as well. He was free on bail despite the severe charges and had been residing in a hotel close to the Chevron gas station. The next day, Yazid was apprehended by police in the woods 145 miles away in another state.
We have breaking news to tell you about at this hour. The suspect in connection with the disappearance of Homewood native Aniah Blanchard is behind bars this morning. Just hours ago, authorities arrested 30-year-old Ibrahim Yazid in Escambia County, Florida. CBS 42's Hillary Simon has been following the breaking details all morning. She joins us now live in studio with the latest. Hillary.
Yeah, Alyssa, Ibrahim Yazid was booked around 2:30 this morning at the Escambia County, Florida jail. Now, we're just getting new video that shows Yazid being arrested. Take a look at the video. It shows him in the custody of the U.S. Marshal's office and going into an ambulance. The Escambia County Sheriff's Office did tell us that the arrest where they assisted the U.S. Marshals was off I-10 at the Pine Forest exit, and that's right by the Alabama-Florida state line. That's the video you're looking at now. Now, Yazid is listed on the jail website on no bond, and he was booked around 2:30 again this morning. He is also listed as an out-of-state fugitive and on hold for the Auburn Police Department. We learned yesterday that Yazid was already out on bond from previous charges of kidnapping and attempted murder. He has a long history with law enforcement and has been charged before, but according to court documents, never indicted by a grand jury. Now, it's been more than 2 weeks since 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard went missing. The college student and Homewood native was last seen at a convenience store in Auburn on October 23rd. Police also released pictures of Yazid that showed him at the same store that Aniah was last seen, all around the same time. And there has been a $105,000 reward for information on Aniah's case.
1 month after Aniah went missing, authorities identified a second man that may have been involved with Aniah's disappearance.
She was last seen October 23rd in Auburn, 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard. Early this morning, this suspect, Antoine Fisher, known as Squirmy, was brought to the Lee County Detention Center by Auburn police. He's charged with kidnapping. Earlier this week, another suspect was in court. Ibrahim Yazid is also charged with kidnapping in connection to Blanchard's case. Investigators with the Auburn Police Department say Yazid saw Blanchard at a gas station last month. The Homewood teen hasn't been seen since. A judge ordered Yazid submit a DNA sample after prosecutors presented evidence of a man being inside Blanchard's car. The judge also denied him bond. Investigators say a witness inside the store saw Yazid force Blanchard into her car. During that court hearing, authorities testified a witness says he didn't come forward sooner because his wife told him to stay out of it.
He started breaking down and crying. I think he was remorseful that he hadn't come forward sooner.
The judge sent that case to a grand jury.
We don't yet know the evidence against Fisher, and we're still waiting to find out when his first court appearance will be. We also haven't heard from Aniah's family regarding this arrest. A gag order is still in place, and a judge set a hearing on December 4th to consider arguments on lifting it. Jeff?
They believed that Antoine Fisher, a man who once served time for murder, helped Yazid dispose of evidence. He was charged with kidnapping. He soon cooperated, providing a roadmap to Aniah's remains. Aniah's remains were located in Macon County, Alabama, which is between Auburn and Montgomery.
We begin tonight with a tragic end to the search for 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard of Homewood. Tonight, police confirming that the remains found in Macon County, Alabama earlier this week have been positively identified as Blanchard's. Good evening, and thank you for joining us this Thanksgiving Eve. I'm Jack Royer. We begin tonight live with CBS 42's Rashad Hudson in Macon County, Alabama tonight with reaction from Auburn's police chief to this tragic news today. Rashad, good evening.
Good evening, Jack. This is certainly not the news many were expecting right before Thanksgiving, but Auburn's police chief did confirm to us that those remains found right down the road here in Macon County were those that belonged to 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard. Since Monday, dozens of law enforcement officers have been on the ground in Macon County off of County Road 2, trying to positively identify remains found.
It is with heavy heart that we so confirm today that the remains are in fact of Aniah Blanchard.
Blanchard was reported missing on October 24th and was last seen at a gas station in Auburn. During that time, police made 3 arrests in connection to Blanchard's disappearance.
At this point, the case obviously will move forward as a homicide investigation at this point.
Auburn's Police Chief Paul Register says, hopefully now this will give the family some answers.
Well, that would have been the worst scenario, is that we would not be able to find and give the answers to this family.
The evidence in Aniah's car told a tragic story of what happened to Aniah. However, the outside damage indicates that there may have been a struggle while the car was in motion. Aniah was allegedly shot by Yazid as she tried to get away. Yazid was charged with Aniah's kidnapping and murder. Antoine Fisher's cooperation with the prosecution led them to drop all charges against him. Aniah's mother, Angela Harris, advocated for Aniah's law after the death of her daughter.
Aniah's law would help keep violent crime offenders off the streets by allowing judges more discretion to deny their bond. The law came about late 2019, shortly after the family found out that the man charged in Aniah's kidnapping and murder was out on bond for previous violent crimes. Aniah's mother, Angela Harris, says she received a call from State Representative Chip Brown in which he informed her that he wanted to propose this law and requested that it be named in honor of Aniah. Aniah's law was unanimously approved by the House and signed by Governor Kay Ivey on June 25, 2021. Alabama voters will have to pass the constitutional amendment on November 8th for it to become a law.
I heard her say to me, "Mom, please don't let this happen to anybody else." And I just said back to her, I said it out loud, I said, "I won't, baby." And so I knew from then on that I was going to fight, and it was going to be for the rest of my life.
Harris believes that if a similar law had been in place prior to Aniah's death, she would still be here. However, she is optimistic that Aniah's law will help prevent others from losing a loved one as a result of violent crime offenders.
We needed this change. I did not want my daughter to have to give her life for it, but I know if Aniah had a choice, that she would give her life for other people.
Advocating for Aniah's law is only one part of the family's fight. Harris also founded a nonprofit called Aniah's Heart that aims to teach people about safety education and provides them with self-defense classes.
In 2021, the bill passed in both the House and the Senate. What happened to Aniah was beyond tragic. She should have been allowed to go to the store without her life being taken from her. She should have been safe. She had so many people who loved and cared for her, and a dangerous criminal took her away from them. My condolences to her friends and family. I'm sorry you had to experience such unimaginable pain. May you continue to heal and someday find peace.
Girls, even boys, listen. You have got to pay attention. Do not be lax when you're getting out of your car and you're going in anywhere. When you're in your car, you pay attention to your surroundings, because that is what it's going to take right now in this day that we're living in. You're going to have to do it. And this is coming from Aniah, okay? I have to say this for her, to y'all, because she would not want this to happen to anybody else.
Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.